to the top of the world, but the North Star is already flown. I hear rumors of a place where the soul was born. I watch all the bright lights shimmer, try to see something where there is none. And I really believe that I could touch the sun. Who's inside my mind? Who's inside my mind? Everything is alright, but I keep seeing ghosts in the daylight. Who's inside my mind? Who's inside my mind? Everything is alright, but I keep seeing ghosts in the daylight. Turn the lights down low and watch all the vampires in silhouette. I run for the hills and try to keep my head. There's still a chance, still a chance.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? Happy Friday to everybody. Hopefully, y'all are doing well. I myself am tired. I've been through a busy day. Some of you may, if you watch enough, you notice that two things may look a little different. First of all, the microphone. This is a brand new microphone. The self-Christmas gift. I'll just put it that way. It was time for an upgrade, and it has pretty lights, so I was sold. And the other thing is the Wicked Queen and I have a new studio setup. She's got her own chair. She's got a high back gaming chair. She's got a new monitor. She's got a new desk. I've got a nice new chair, which I absolutely love. But yeah, so we got a lot of new things. And this one reclines, so I'm spoiled. But tonight, guys, we actually have a very special guest, and I honestly love chatting with him just for multiple reasons. Number one, I always learn something. When I chat with him. And the other thing that is really cool with him is no matter what happens, this guy is always here for you. And you got to respect that. But let's see. Who do we got? Gabriel, you get to go home tomorrow. Sweet. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, My guest tonight is a brother of mine, and I absolutely love him, respect the hell out of him. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Charles. How we doing,
Hello, hello,
Charles?
hello. Doing
How we doing?
great.
Good, brother.
Doing
Good,
great.
good, good. Uh, so Charles, well, let's start off first. You have a show tonight that actually intertwines with what we're going to be discussing. You want to give that a shout out before we get started?
Sure. The show tonight is called Being Angry,
Mm,
and it I share from my life. I was actually a highly tempered kid, and believe it or not, see, we teach what we most need to learn. I say that.
mm,
So when I teach relax, let go, and be, because
mhm,
I need to learn relax, let go, and be, and so much so that in fifth grade I ended up being in a special class for highly tempered students.
Oh wow.
And in the small little school district we did, it was an experiment they did. It was changed my life, and really put me on the trajectory that I'm on now with the works I do. And then over the years, working with kids, teenagers, and adults of all ages. I have a new client I just started working with recently that was really dealing with a lot of anger. And I told her, I said, you're inspiring me to do a show about anger, because we all get angry,
Mhm.
and it's healthy to be. You got to feel mad, sad, and glad. If you try to not feel one of those, or some, I'm never going to be mad or sad, well, then you're not going to be happy either. Because if you contain your emotions, and then you suffer from it. So the show tonight's going to be about some ways, and we can share some of those here too, about ways of dealing with anger, dealing with sadness, dealing with, and like you said, we can get into tonight too, about dealing with, what about when other people are angry, or they're projecting a lot onto you. You're
Mhm.
good, but all of a sudden you're not so good because all this stuff's coming at you, and ways to work with that, because we're human, and
Yeah.
we can easily be reactive, or we can easily choose what we're going to let in. And
100%.
that becomes a talent, that becomes a skill that usually takes some practice. One of the things I talk about is, I used to be just like everybody else. Somebody cut me off in traffic, and I was like,
Mm.
you're yelling at them like they can't
Mhm.
hear you or see you. And God forbid in 2023, if they can, what they might do, even here in our area a month or so ago, no one even knows what happened, but this car cut somebody else off, and then this person tried to get out of the way, then the car slowed down and they shot at the person. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you know what? It's funny because we all know our brother Brian John Laverty with Parapost. Um, the Wicked Queen, Mackenzie and I, we were on the phone with him earlier, and somebody was literally sitting, and I know we've all been there, was sitting at a green light. Light turned green, and they just sat there. They knew it was green because you see the foot come off the brake and then right back on,
Right.
and then they just sat there. I went off. I don't know why. I wasn't in a big hurry, but I went off, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and that is something that we are going to be discussing tonight. Speaking of the Wicked Queen, she's just messaged me. So I do want to, before we begin, I do want to say hello to our awesome audience, because Charles, I think you'll agree, because like you said, you have your own show. And by the way, guys, if you don't know about Charles's show, I highly suggest it. Links are down in the description, and so is his Facebook page. So go check that out. Go check him out. Give him some love and support. Um, but let's say hello to the audience, because Charles, you know as well as I do, the audience is what makes these shows spectacular.
Right. Right.
So the wonderful and always here, Joanne. Hi, Joanne. No doubt you've been. Yeah, I am. I have been on a lot. I don't know if Charles. It's been a while since we've chatted, but I started this new job and I like it. It's a great job. I enjoy it. The hours though, not so much. 12-hour shifts,
Whoa.
and it rotates, so it's never like steady. So some nights I'll be working like tonight. Last Friday I was working. This Friday I'm here. And it rotates, and the sleep schedule is killer, because sometimes I'll work in the morning, sometimes I'll work at night. And for the morning, I had to get up at 4 a.m. And then I don't get home if I work the night shift until about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's just, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Right. That takes some adjustment.
Oh, yeah. And I'm still adjusting. It's been about 3 months. But Gabriel, how you doing, brother? And I'm glad to see that you will be going home tomorrow. And Happer and Paranormal, Robin, what's up, brother? How you doing? Long time no see. Charles, you were in the chat earlier
Oh
with
yeah.
talking with the source. This is Robin. He was the one English gentleman
Oh nice.
who was there, had the cat and everything like that. This is him.
Nice. Yeah. Hello. And yeah, I did. I was listening while I was doing some of my stuff to get ready for this show and tonight's show. I thought I got the link, and I'm like, I'll listen. I'll see what's going on. It's very fun.
Yeah, they had a great show, and of course, Squeakers, the lovely Sarah Russell.
Oh yeah. Hi, Sarah.
And of course, Raymond's here. Raymond Newsom, what's up, brother? How you doing? And there's the other host of Talking with the Source, the show you were watching, AJ Capasso from Coventry Circle. What's up, brother? Lots of great knowledge to come. Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get into the topic too much, Charles, let me ask you, how was, if you don't mind, the holidays? How was some of the holidays for you? I know you were going through some stuff. You're welcome to share if you'd like. If not,
Yeah.
that's fine. But overall, how is it? How was
Well,
it?
it was on my show we did leading into Christmas. It just everything lined up.
Mhm.
So I had a special guest on Monday, which was Hanukkah, that shared all about Hanukkah.
Aw.
Wednesday was this winter solstice.
Mhm.
So I had some people on that were pagan, and we shared about the solstice. And then we had an awesome Christmas Eve show. And then, and it was expected. I'm stepping on my own cord. Okay.
I do
It
that
was-
too.
It was expected. She'd been ill. She'd passed her expiration point, as you call it. I mean, literally by about a year. She had been told, we thought we were going to lose her back in 2022 or 2021. But my wife, ex-wife, but wife of years, mother of my daughter, passed away Christmas morning.
Our
And-
condolences, brother.
And her sister got a hold of me. We went out. We were there with her. My daughter came in town. And what I was, I've had people ask me for, because I work with a lot of people at end of life issues and when they're nearing end of life. And we had worked together some and had 4 or 5 discussions where, really long talks and connections with each other. You know what I mean? Where she was sharing, to quote her, and I know you can, your show's adult oriented or whatever, but she would say to me and others, if I wasn't such a bitch, we'd still be married. She had some moments, but we worked through all those, and we had lots of time to share together. And I was really encouraged by the way all the different family and friends came together and helped my daughter and I deal with her things. And we had a beautiful gathering. Like I told my daughter, I'd never seen anything like it. She passed on Christmas Day. 3 days later, my daughter's in town. That Friday, we had the gathering, celebration of life, and her apartment and all her things had been gifted and taken care of. So I was like, that is something, that everybody dealt with it so quickly and lovingly. People came together, neighbors came together, friends came together. So it was just that part. Good comes from everything. And I know my wife would be looking down and with a big smile that so many people came together and supported each other. So
That's good, brother. And I agree with AJ, Gabriel, and of course Squeakers. Our community, mourns with you too, brother, and our condolences, our deepest condolences, and continued positive thoughts to you and your family.
yes,
But it's interesting. Not to go off of what we're going to talk about. But one thing that I have learned in the paranormal field is what we are doing and what we are doing now is not the end. This is just a chapter in our book.
yes,
And death is just the next chapter. The biggest question a lot of people ask is there life after death? We've heard all the time. Growing up, that's all we've heard. Is there life after death? Well, go to church. You'll find out the truth. Yes and no. I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
But the paranormal field has taught me that there is something else out there. There is another chapter.
Oh yes.
Otherwise, who are we talking to?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and it can't just be just the paranormal. Everybody feels the same way because we've all had some sort of experience. So in a sense, and please folks don't take this out of context, but I'm jealous. I literally am jealous because that answer on what happens, they know.
Yes.
I don't know it. I want to know it, but they know it. So I'm jealous of them. I'm jealous of the dead because they know that answer. Eventually, I will get there. I mean, I hope it's a long way away,
Right.
but again, just like the lottery, you can play this. When you wake up, you're playing your same number every day, and eventually,
Yes.
your number will get called. Doesn't matter how healthy, fat, skinny, beautiful, ugly, whatever. Doesn't matter. Your number will get called, and why bother? Worrying about it. And once you start thinking like that, it kind of takes the sting away. Yeah, the physical isn't there, but the mental and the personality, because you can't destroy. It's a scientific fact. You cannot destroy energy.
No.
So where does that
And
energy
there's
go?
and we're always connected to something. I mean, in my
Exactly.
meditations and my spiritual work, I've had so many moments for clients and for myself where things come through, and I feel blessed that way. And I know that even then, I'm very careful and I tell people what I perceive and what I experience because people ask me, so what do you think? And I said, well, here's what I have figured out. We're only going to know about this much when we're in these avatars because we need to
Mhm.
focus on being here. And everything I have experienced tells me, yep, there's things there. They definitely move on. There's times they can reach out in different ways. Obviously, you and a lot of your hosts that do the work they do know that too.
Mhm.
And many people who've lost people will share stories of moments where, and it's all five senses. It's touch, taste, smell, seeing and hearing. There's one lady who was so trying to reach out to a loved one that had passed, called me up all excited one day and she goes, Charles, it happened. She's like, I was at a Seahawks game. Her mother was a big Seahawks fan. And she said, and first, out of nowhere, I could smell her perfume. And it was heavy. It was like I was looking around me. And then she goes, and then just for a second, I felt her hand on my shoulder.
Mhm.
And she's like, and it's so weird that she goes, it was a Seahawks game, Charles. But
Mhm.
she was a big fan. And I said, well, there you go. And you were probably relaxed, not even thinking about it. And so that was her moment to be like, hey, I'm right here with you, rooting for the team.
Yep. And it's funny. One thing I've learned in my 16 years of doing this is you typically about 2 weeks after somebody passes on and moves to their next chapter, they will come back. They will come back and give a subtle hint just like that they are fine. And to me, it's basically them saying the mourning process is over. I'm fine. I'm safe. I
Yeah.
appreciate your thoughts, but I want you to enjoy your life.
Right.
And
Stay
it's
focused.
yeah, and it's when we ignore that is when individuals like myself and teams that I work with, we get called in because once they start ignoring these little signs, that's when stuff starts kicking up. But that's for a whole nother
Yeah.
that's a whole nother show.
But true. But true. Sometimes
Mhm.
they start rattling the cage.
Yeah. That's one way of putting it. So but tonight, and it kind of ties in. Tonight, Charles, we're going to talk about, or I'd like to talk about, is mental health. We spoke a little bit about this, I think, a couple months ago, and we spoke about preparing for the holidays and focusing on positives and stuff like that. But I want to dive in just a little bit deeper with this one. There is a lot of people who either have self-worth issues, they have depression, they have anxiety, or they just have anger. They have destructive anger towards themselves. And we all know somebody. I myself been through that.
Me
To
too.
and a lot of people don't know how to handle that because I know from experience with me, I felt trapped. I felt like why bother? Why should I? I'm a POS. I'm not deserving to go get help. I am not worth the psychiatrist's time. I'm not worth taking time from, my friends and my family to talk to them about my issues. So my question to you is then, brother, is for those individuals, what do you say to them? How do you help break that stigma?
Well, and for a lot of people, it cuts both ways, right? A lot of times it is feeling like, well, I don't want to take the time, like I've heard that from more than one person, even with myself. They're like, I think I should make a session, but you probably have people that need more help than I do. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, really? And why would that be? Like, and it does come down to self-worth. Sometimes it's also a feeling of, well, I'm not sure who to reach out to or what type of help that I need. Um, but what I point out to people, but we're as men, not only, but to a big degree, we can be the worst, even not because I try to use a physical thing. Like if all of a sudden you're in horrible pain, most of us aren't going to go, well, I don't want to take up the doctor's time. We're going to be like, I hurt. But sometimes we do.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're like, well, and I did that even in December around my birthday. I was like, well, I had some sinus stuff going on. I'm like, I don't want to go in. Turned into a full infection. Had to go in and get it handled. And when I went into the doctor, he said the same thing that I would say to people. He was like, Charles, when you know your body, when your
Mhm.
body doesn't feel right, get in here. If you get in here and I say, Charles, all you got is a stomach ache because you ate pie and ice cream last night, good news. Ka-ching, go home.
Yeah. Here's some
But
Tums. Have some
yeah,
fun.
but the same thing is it's more true with our mind because there can be so many things happening. And sometimes it's something that can be dealt with counseling and dealing with some hurt. I have dealt with more than one person that's come in and started describing things to me. And I've been like, oh boy, okay, what you're describing is more. We need to get you in. And I'll never forget one client who came to me. He'd been having headaches. He'd been having weird thoughts. He's like, Charles, I'm not this way. And I'm not having strange thoughts. I'm being suicidal. At times I'm feeling homicidal. Like I just want
Mm.
to strangle my wife. And I know I don't want to, and he goes, I've never been that way. I said, you know what you're describing some stuff that may go beyond the psychology. Went in and got an MRI. He had a brain tumor.
And
So there are reasons to make sure you check out what's happening. Another person I worked with it wasn't a serious thing, but they had a cyst that was growing, and so it's like there can be physical and mental things happening. So it's awesome to check. It's good to check it out. And when people do, just recently I had a friend of mine who they had a sibling who committed suicide.
Mm.
Left in a note saying, it was easier to do this than try to put everybody through me seeking help again because this person had some mental health issues. I've done everything I could do, and so I just give up. And it's like that's the other reason to reach out sooner than later. Because if you don't reach out soon, then what happens is you start believing that stuff, that I'm not worth it and I'm not worthy. And you know what? Everyone's probably better off without me. You know what that people's family feel? They don't feel that way. They
No.
wish he was here, and they would be more than willing to work with them and help them. So when we close the door and we don't reach out for help, whether that's family, friends, and it can start out with your spouse, with your family, with your friends saying, hey, I'm feeling a bit down. I've lost some hope. I'm really suffering right now. We get ashamed of it. Like we all want to help, right? If any friend calls us and want our help, we're right there. We'll do anything they need. But when we're the ones that need it, we
We're
feel
stubborn.
like we don't want to burden anybody else. We
We're
don't want
very
to take
stubborn.
anybody else's time. Yeah. So breaking through that piece of saying, wow, I'm not feeling right. I'm normally in this kind of mood and I'm not. What do I need to do to change that? And sometimes there's easy things you do to change it. Sometimes you need a little bit extra help.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're hurting from some trauma or some pain in your life. And we all know it. I've had people that come in and they'll say, okay, one perfect example, a gentleman that came in and his belly had exploded. exploded. And he told me, he's like, Charles, I know why it happened. I stuffed and stuffed and stuffed for 38 years. And finally, my guts exploded. I couldn't take anymore,
Oh, wow.
you know, and he said, do you think that's possible? And I said, well, I do. I also think maybe, you know, there's a combination, but when we're feeling mentally bad, most of us are also not, we don't feel it translates physically.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because even with somebody with that, and the gentleman with the homicidal tendencies, or the thoughts, I should say, it's amazing how the mental and the physical are connected. And I know for a fact that for myself, when I get depressed, I mean, I went through, I think it was October, September, October, I had a real bad spell of depression. My knees were killing me. My back would hurt. I didn't want to eat. I looked at food and I felt sick.
Yeah.
And it does. It translates. So my question to you then is, when like, if somebody suspects that they're depressed or they're having low self-worth, when should they, because we obviously there's stages
All
of
right.
depression. At what stage or what symptoms should people be looking out for to start reaching out for help before it gets to that "I'm not worth it" phase?
Well, and you mentioned the piece too about feeling it in your body. We always do. We always feel it somewhere. When we're feeling bad, when we're feeling depressed, it can be in your belly, it can be in your back, you know. So when and if you're otherwise pretty much happy go lucky, everything's okay, you've healed any traumas in your life, because those always can come back to bite you. But then the first step is to reach out to those right around you. So when you're feeling it at all, and I'm really good about this, my partner, my roommate, my friends around me, we all, when we ask how you're doing and someone says, okay or fine, we're like, all right, what's really going on? Why aren't you
Mhm.
telling me how you're doing? I want to hear how you're really doing.
Yeah.
So when you start to feel truly depressed, and you've described it perfectly. You go to eat. Nah, I'm not going to eat. You have your favorite things, whether that's shows you like to watch, games you like to play, going on some ghost hunting expeditions, and you find yourself going, nope, nope, nope. When you find yourself turning even to yourself, thinking, oh, well, I could put on some music. No, I'm not going to do it. When you find yourself beginning to neglect yourself and stop doing the things you like, friends say, hey, you want to come hang out? Normally you'd be over there in a minute. You're like, nah, I'm just going to stay home by myself and stay depressed. So when you start to feel those moments, the first thing is to reach out to someone you love and care about. Because for sometimes we can talk it through and that's it, and we're feeling better. And then other times we realize, you know what, this isn't going away. And I'm trying to do some of the things that I'm trying to do some fun things or force myself to eat or do some things, and that's not happening. Then you need to reach out to somebody, whether that's a counselor or a pastor or a spiritual facilitator, and say, hey, I'm going through something here. I'm not your doctor. The only thing there's a plus and minus to doctors, and I have a lot of doctors that send clients and I work with them, so I'm not saying a bad thing, but the thing is the doctor will say, here's a pill. Great. That's like saying, here's a band-aid, but let's get down to what's really hurting. And so often, here's a pill that can help you. Now let's get some counseling. Let's get so that you can work through whatever's happening. You can work through the hurt. And for almost everybody, you described it perfectly. It is self-worth,
Yep.
self-confidence that is just dipping so far down that you think you're not worth it.
Mhm.
And or and it can come sometimes from other people saying things and we start to believe it, but usually it's because at a core level we already feel like we're not worth it. We're already struggling with some confidence. We're already struggling, and doing shows, I'm the same way. I won't do a show if I'm not in a good space to do a show. I've had a few times that I've had to say, not tonight. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
years ago, during our first month of shows, I think it was the third or fourth one, stuff went wrong. It had been a really hard day. We were just getting used to the routine, and literally we took it down right away. But literally, and me, Relax, Let Go, Be Charles dude, was so upset that I was like, fuck this.
Mhm.
And it went out. I didn't think we
Oh
were
yeah.
live yet. And I was like, oh no. And we immediately ended the show, took that down. I came up the next day and said, okay, you probably heard I was having a bad day yesterday, if you were listening. And I apologize. But it's so part of it is noticing that in yourself and saying, okay, I'm not quite right. Just like if you went to lift your arm and do something and you'd be like, wow, why is this hurting? Wow, this hurts really bad. That's not normal. It, your mind is so important to every aspect of your life. And so when your mind feels not good and you're feeling bad and you're feeling personally destructive, because it usually comes into play.
Yep.
Talked to someone the other day, and we was talking to someone who another. She's actually a master degree psychologist, and she knows the same family with the suicide. And she said, Charles, let's be honest. We've all had a moment when you were depressed or you were struggling that it crossed your mind, that you thought, you know what? I don't know if I want to go on. Now, a lot of times that's just a thought and it passes.
Yeah.
If it goes beyond that, if you start thinking about how you do it, when you do it, these are big red flags to reach out for help right now.
And there is a link below going, guys. And on that note, I want to ask everybody, not for me, not for Charles's sake, but for others out there, these mental health shows, we love doing them. The Paracrew and I love doing them because mental health is very important, not just for the regular community, but also for the paranormal community as well, because we deal with death literally every time we go out. So that may look better. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, I'm jealous of the spirits. They have the answers. I have a list of people that I'm coming back to haunt. I already know. I know who's on that list. And but I'm not proactive. You know what I mean? I don't wish it. I don't want to, I don't want to
Yes,
do that. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nothing against anybody, but suicide to me is the most selfish thing that you can do. Because yes, I understand you're hurting. Yes, I understand that may stop your pain. Well, how do you know? First of all, how do you know that's going to
right.
stop? We don't know what happens on the other side. Maybe that pain will stay with you for the rest of eternity. You never know.
Maybe you'll see the things that could have happened if you'd stayed. I've had a few interactions in a spiritual way that have led me to believe that that's a part of it is you realize, oh gosh,
I
if
messed
you,
up.
I called myself out too early. I had so much more I was going to be able to do.
Yep.
And that's where depression, and whether you want to call it negative energy, evil energy, whatever, that I do think is out there that can kind of get in your face and try to make you give up, try to make you not go on. But if you don't go on, think of all the lives you could have touched. Think of all the things that might have happened. And truly, you think you're, again, like in this guy's note that he left, I'm helping you all by doing this. Nobody felt helped. Everybody felt hurt. And
And
everyone wondered, why didn't he reach out? Why
and
didn't he,
sorry, brother.
no, that's it. Yeah. Why didn't he reach out? Why didn't he ask for help? Why didn't he make a call?
And this was said to me a while back, and I still believe it wholeheartedly. But suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah.
It says in the Bible, this too shall pass. Well, yes, it's true. All these little things, yes, at the time, it may feel long and drawn out. Like one of the biggest things that everyone deals with is financial money issues.
Yeah.
I just told someone this week, one thing that I've learned and one practice I try to keep, and we all falter. I'm human. I'm not perfect. Is stress about the things you can change. Don't stress about things you can't.
Right.
And for most of us, money is something you cannot change. You cannot go to the ATM or to your bank tonight and pay off all your bills and be financially set for the rest of your life. You can't do it. So why are you going to stress?
Yes.
What can you do? You can go to
Right.
work. You can do whatever you can do to make money, whatever it is you do.
You can reduce expenses. I was actually in a few years back, I opened and ran a debt counseling service here in town.
Mhm.
And there are ways that you can both generate income, whether that's different job, side jobs, and many times I do painting. Matter of fact, I painted this room. I you know
Mhm.
I do interior painting, not as a company, but I started doing it years ago. And then friends go to friends' houses and they say, "Who painted this?" And they say Charles, and
How
I'll be
much would you
like,
charge to come to
you know,
Pennsylvania?
well, I'd love to come visit. So that would be part of it. And then we could do some painting while I'm there.
There you
Painting
go.
can be therapeutic. I can tell
It
you.
can. It
But
can.
it's and you can look at ways, do I downsize? Do I bring in a roommate? Do I um uh I'm a big proponent of communal living, and meaning that if you've got a 5-bedroom house and you're struggling, rent out a couple of those bedrooms. Also, if like where I live here, the person I live with now, I used to be a roommate 10 years ago. They reached
Mhm.
out to me a couple years ago and said, "Can you come? And then you can help me paint the house, and you can help me do this, and these are some things I can't do, and we can make this work out." And I said, "Perfect," because I'm trying to have lower expenses, so this works out great. So often there are some solutions that are really easy if you get past the struggle to the inspiration. And that's one thing I think, like when you're in struggle and you think there's no answers and nothing's going to change and I don't know what I'm going to do, you know, um, and I just want to go, I need money right now and I don't know what to do. And I'm hopeless and there's no hope. When you're in that state of mind, you're not going to get inspired. When you let it go and you say, okay, like you just said, okay, here's my situation. I'm going to get calm about it. I'm going to think about who I can talk to, who I can reach out to. I'm going to think about the solutions. I'm going to ask my friends for their ideas. And if you get past that struggle and towards the inspiration, many times we're all like, when we get to that other place, we're like, oh my, and I've said it to myself, I stressed over that for a week, then I relaxed, and then the answer came.
And
So I'm the one that made a choice to stress out for a week. I could have stressed out for an hour or a week or a month or a year, or I can relax and look for solutions and inspiration.
100%. And before we go to our commercial break, I do want to say if you ever think like that, if you ever think that, oh, all is lost, I have no solution, try two things. Number one, think about this. You haven't thought of everything. There's always a solution to every issue you have.
Yeah.
It's just figuring out what. It's a puzzle. Think of it like a game. The other thing that helps out too, and again, I told the same person this week, and this is another reason why, brother, I'm so glad that it just so happened that our show came to this week. But think of it from a third party perspective.
Right.
If somebody would come to you with these issues that you are having, what would you tell them?
Right.
And make sure when you ask yourself that you're calm, you're collected, not stressed, not, don't get the adrenaline going. Take a breath and go, okay, what if, like, let's say I'll use Charles here for an example. Let's say Charles came to me, Matt, this is going on. I'm blah, 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 blah. He just starts going off on me. What am I going to tell him? What am I going to personally tell this individual? What am I going to tell Charles? What am I going to tell my brother? But you flip it to yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You practice
Yes.
what you preach.
Yes.
So try those tricks and you'll be amazed how many little light bulbs will just look like Las Vegas. It's crazy.
Yes.
And sometimes the harder the lesson, the brighter the bulb.
Yeah.
And I will tell you exactly, again, and I'll pick on myself. When I went through my last mental breakdown, I told everybody I was going until the beginning of 2023.
All right.
2 weeks later, I was back in front of the camera. Why? Because of Lurker, my brother. He was on the show. He did his own show and he was passionate. And he was going. And that motivated me. And then I really sat there and thought, you know what? Who cares? This is what I love. This is what I enjoy. These are the people I care about. Screw those other people, which is going to be what we're going to talk about when we come back from our break, is talking about other people. What are their thought processes? Why? And how do we handle it? And we will be playing a brand new video. I want to give a special shout out to the one and only Aaron Hoffman from A View Beyond magazine and also Spectre Radio. He made a brand new, and yes, I'm just assuming I have permission to do this because he sent it to me, so he can kiss my ass. I'm promoting him out. He can deal with it.
Right.
But no, he he makes really good videos, Charles. Like absolutely amazing videos. He did one for our brother Brian John Laverty and Parapost Network Central. So guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to air that, and we'll be back.
It's been coming up like sun above. It's making us come together. Been making plans and joining hands. Come by me, stand and come together. When they know we've had enough, they'll try and call our bluff. But no, there's no stopping us. We're making a promise. Yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. They say we're weak when we don't speak, but they don't see us come together. Behind closed doors, we choose love, not war. It's at our core when we come together. They will hear us loud and clear. We'll walk right through the fear, and then once we'll all appear and say, we're standing right here. Come on. Yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh,
And we're back. And before we continue on with our brother here, Charles, I want to give my usual and special shout outs to, of course, Maglite. Guys, if you haven't already, and I'm sure, Charles, you've used flashlights before.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I
sure.
have a mag light.
Do you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Charles joined the Maglite Nation, so what's stopping the rest of you? Seriously, guys, head on over to maglite.com. That sounded really scripted. It's not, though.
But it's not.
It's not.
No.
I don't write anything down. But head on over to maglite.com today. Sign up. You can get deals. You can do a bunch of different things. They have merch. I'm going to be getting a hoodie. I can't wait. And they have hats. They have got a bunch of different things. It's not just flashlights, but guys, seriously, go join the Maglite Nation today. And thank you, Maglite, for sponsoring the Paracrew podcast. Obviously, we already said his name. We played one of the videos. Brian John Laverty from Parapost and Parapost International now. He just started a brand new channel, which we are streaming on right now. Guys, go check it out. Go check it out. You will find a slew of different podcasts and evidence and investigations, bunch of different things. Again, Parapost Network Central on Facebook, or you can find Parapost International, or like the video, sign up on parapost.net, or go ahead and sign up on the apps, either Android or iPhone, doesn't matter. Sign up for free. Start networking today. It's a Facebook, a paranormal Facebook, and I love it, with zero drama, which is what I'm about. I love that. And of course, our brothers and sisters over there at Paralinks 123 Plus and Live. They've got 5 different Paralinks channels.
Wow.
So there's always something to watch. And I know this show is on Paralinks Plus. My other show, Paraprod Podcast, you can find on Paralinks 1. Paranormal United Network, Steven, Howard, Chrissy, all those guys, I love them to death. And they have a variety as well. There are so many amazing podcasters out there, guys. So you've got plenty of opportunity to see different things. And it's not just paranormal. There's crystals, there's Reiki healing, there's meditation, there's investigations, there's evidence, there's just talk shows where you talk about any random thing you want. There's a variety of different things on both Parapost, Network Central, and Paralinks. So go check them out today. And of course, if you are like me, I don't know about you, Charles, but you like going on vacation, you like traveling around.
Oh yeah,
doing different things.
Yes.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So guys, while you're on Facebook, go check out Fear Fest. You see it right here next to me. Fear Fest Nolans, as Howard likes to say. Apparently that's the proper way. It's not New Orleans.
Right.
It's Nolans.
Right. Okay.
But a paranormal Mardi Gras. What better? What else do you want?
Right.
What else do you want? It's a convention. There's going to be live music. There's going to be a parade. There's going to be a bunch of different things going on down there. Go check it out. And also, that's going to be happening hopefully during the Global Ghost Hunt. You guys, if you've seen the show more than once, you know what a Global Ghost Hunt is. If you don't, head over to globalghosthunt.com today. Sign up. All the information is there. And I'm telling you, it is worth every bit of it. This is going to be, if you ever thought about, even be a little greedy. We can be a little greedy and want to get a little exposure. We get in the spotlight.
Right.
That's the way to do it. Global Ghost Hunt. We are going to be putting teams and locations on the map, so to speak, and giving everybody there not 5 minutes of fame, not 15 minutes of fame, but at minimum hour and a half of fame. You will be seen worldwide, globally, around the world. A lot of people will be seeing you, and you get your own highlighted time. And we will work with you with full event staff, both for teams and investigate and locations. And you get your own customized merch, and you don't really do anything. You just sign up, pay the fee, and that's it. We do the rest.
Wow.
How easy is that? But I swear to God, guys, that's not scripted. This is not scripted at all. So Nikki popped in during the commercial. Hey, Nikki, how are you? Gabe says, awesome. So true and nice. Awesome. So we talked about self. And guys, again, if you feel like anything applies to you, right there below, if you need help, just reach out. There's no shame in it. I've reached out myself. I've gotten therapy. I've gone to counseling, both for aggression, anger management, bunch of different things. Even suicidal. I've had suicidal tendencies. I got help, and I feel better for it.
Right.
But
And all of us in the field do that. I've had people, I actually had a distant family member, but someone that reached out to me and they're like, well, I just don't know about counseling though. And they went on to say a few things. And I said, you do know who you're talking to, right? Yeah, but you do it. And I said, well, no, I've done both sides. I had to heal from some childhood things I went through. If you're a counselor or a therapist or a hypnotherapist or work in this field with clients, it's if you're good at all, you are trading with another peer once a week at least. I have a peer that I trade with. Sometimes we talk 3 times a week.
Oh
We have
wow.
a really hard client or we have a real hard situation because both to share, but also so that we can talk, you know, so that we can work through what we're doing. And in talking about what we're doing, one thing I want to give a shout out to, there's a amazing new Netflix special, and it's like a little movie.
Mhm.
It's the Dalai Lama with Desmond Tutu. And I think Desmond Tutu has died now, so it must have been maybe
Yeah.
past. It turns out they were lifetime best friends. Loved
No
each other,
kidding.
teased each other, looked forward to being able to get back together again and chat. And this beautiful special, they're talking about finding and living in joy. And one of the things they
Oh,
both shared was, and what we've been talking about too, is if you are trying to make yourself happy by buying things, by having lots of boyfriends or girlfriends, by you know, all these outward things, like if I get this picture, I get this new TV, or I have this, new thing, then I'll be happy. No, happy and joy is here. It
yep.
starts right here. And if you're, and it doesn't matter the situation you're in. Here are two people. Yes, they're religious leaders. One is Christian, one is Buddhist. But what they shared in common is the Dalai Lama was run from his home. He's been homeless for 50 years
Mhm.
because of what happened with China and Tibet. Desmond Tutu grew up in a place where, despite his ethnic background, the African Americans, or not African Americans, Africans being the majority, they were treated like the minority. And they went through a lot of discrimination and a lot of hurt and a lot of, and yet, so these are two people that could be very unhappy and have many reasons not to be joyful, and yet they are, and they
Yep.
were as they worked through it. And it's so a lot of times we think, well, but how do I get joyful if I'm in this place, or this is happening, or that's happening around me? Yes, you can, and once you do, your perspective on everything changes, and you're able to see and react differently. And I know you want to get into too, the next step is, okay, I'm in a good space, I'm doing good things with other people, I'm being honest, I'm being a good friend and a good partner and a good worker, but these people are coming at me.
Yep.
They're coming at me with negativity, with judgments, with reactions, and we all want to react when someone pushes our buttons. First thing you do is work on those buttons, but so that why are you letting somebody push your buttons? And is that somebody that you really care about? Or is it somebody like we were talking about with the traffic? Is it somebody that you don't even know and you don't know what they're going through? And maybe they are being crazy about it. I had someone the other day, I was with some people and all these cars were lined up to turn left and this one car wasn't going. So everybody just started turning left around, which is very dangerous the minute that person hits their. And then when we got up there, we were like, should we? Okay, I guess we will. Here's someone with their phone, looking at their phone, not even paying attention to all these cars that are going around them, turning left. And so you want to yell at that, right?
Yep.
But they don't. If you get all upset about it, and I use an example of somebody that, because I had this happen, I had a coworker that someone cut him off, almost caused an accident on Monday on the way to work. I listened as that person was recounting that story all week long to everyone they ran into. First, it was, boy, they really messed up my day. Gosh, they're really messing up my week. My whole week has been off. Da, da, da. And I finally said, hey, can we talk for a few minutes? And they're like, yeah. And I said, so this person that you had almost an accident, you almost could have died, right? But you
Mhm.
didn't. Do you know who that person is? Do you know where they were going? Do you have any connection to them? No. And I said, really? Because they've had a connection with you. They've wrecked your week. But you know what? They didn't. You did. And he just looked at me and he was like, because at first he was going to get angry a little bit. And then when I said that last part, he didn't, you did. He sat there for a minute. And this was a boss. And he said, so he came back in his chair. He's like, damn it, you're right. I don't even know that dude. And I've been upset all week long about this accident that didn't happen. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I just thought of something. If somebody says that to me next time, I'm gonna look at them. I'll tell them, well, when you see that person next time, let them know. Because
Right.
you think about it, especially in traffic, unless you follow them, you're not gonna see them.
Right.
We're all going
And
to
you
our own
shouldn't,
place.
and you shouldn't follow them. You should
No.
not escalate.
Mm-mm.
But the thing is, when it comes to other people, there's 3 different categories, right? There's people we really love.
Yeah.
So if your partner, your father, your sibling that you really love and care about suddenly comes at you and they're really angry and upset, you're going to have a deeper level of concern. Oh my gosh, what have I done that's got you this upset? And was it even me? Because when you talk it through, it often wasn't. I know for me, it's not. I'll often have people say, wow, are you mad at me? Nope. No, I'm not. I'm not at all mad at you. What you did was this. This has been building up. And now your little piece went right there. So I'm going to be tempted to give it all to you when none of it has anything to do with you. And even what you did is not a big deal.
Yeah.
So when it's someone closer that's mad or upset and they're expressing things to you, and especially if you're not being heard or they're questioning your honesty, your
Methods.
your goodness, you're
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you're a bad person, and da 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 da. It's so easy to go, well, first to respond. Oh, you think I'm bad? You think I'm bad because I left my socks on the floor? Well, guess who left the dishes in the sink for a week, and I finally did them. And we get into those kind of places with each other instead of realizing when someone comes at you, they're coming at you from their perception. It's from their world. And 99% of the time, it has to do with them. And especially in this, what you guys are doing in the paranormal, you'll get people that are like, doubt what you're doing, doubt your results, doubt your investigation that you do. And that hurts because, hey, I do this and I take it really seriously. And I'm trying to create content that can help us all understand more about this.
Mhm.
So there again, when they're coming at you, rather than take it personally, and it takes some practice, but in the moment and before the moment, you have to have yourself understanding. If someone comes at me and they're all angry and they're all upset and they're all challenging and telling me how awful or wrong or crazy I am, what's happening for them? Why? I watch it we all see it on social media where people spend their time attacking other people or other things. And it's like, what's happening in your life right now that instead of doing something that brings you pleasure or joy or excitement in your life, you're going around attacking all these other people. I've had it happen in my show. I had it happen a few weeks ago. We had some people that came on that were transgender and were sharing their stories, and someone came on and just started attacking them. And I just didn't let it happen. It was in the chat. I just kept deleting their chats. Like, nope, we're not going to do that.
Yep.
And then afterwards, I talked to the other people who some of them had seen it. And I said, do not take that personally. And I love, and I've shared it before, I love what Adam, he's going to be a host with me tomorrow on a call-in show. He said it so perfectly. He's like, Charles, I don't let it bother me. They're showing their ignorance. And 9 times out of 10, there's something in their life. There's something about their own sexual identity or sexual something that they're upset about. And they don't like hearing and it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with who I am or what I represent by telling my story. That has to do with them. he grew up autistic as well. So he had a lot of people that were always bullying him for being autistic. And he said, I was probably only in second or third grade. He goes, I don't even know where it came from, but something in my head said, every time they bully you, they're just showing you how much you being you is challenging their reality. And poor soul, some point they're going to get it and realize that their bullying is not. And he said after a while, he goes, I even had one bully that came to me that started bullying me in like second grade, kept bullying me about fifth grade. He said, you're no fun to bully. You just smile and walk away, or we yell things at you and you give us a thumbs up. Hey, and walk by. And he said, because why would I take that on? I'm taking on their ignorance. I don't have time for that. So that's the other piece, is that if it's not someone close to you and it's someone that's just an antagonist, and they're out there that just want to antagonize, that spend their days trolling to say bad things about people. And then you just have to go, wow. And I've literally gotten to a place, like even that person the other night, when we got done and we were all done with it, we all got together and did a prayer. We're like, let's pray for this dude that's hurting so much, that rather than watch a program or do something that he might enjoy, he comes on and attacks people he doesn't understand. That poor guy, what is happening in his life, that this has become fun, that this has become how you spend your time. Our time, we talked about at the beginning. When you take a breath, you know you're going to take a last breath. How do you want to spend your time? You want to spend your time attacking a bunch of people? Or do you want to spend your time with the people that you love and you enjoy and doing the things you enjoy? That's a choice.
And you know what, brother? I'm glad you said it like that about the thing about the other person, because I said about earlier when when you're trying to figure out your own personal battles, think of it from a third party perspective.
Right.
Well, that also ties into, if somebody's coming after you. Like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many times a friend or family member has come after me. So instead of looking at what they're telling me and listening to and letting it, pierce me, I think about what is causing this.
Right.
Especially if it's out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so there's obviously something else going on. It's they're yelling at me for a specific reason, and I don't understand. I understand what they're saying, but I don't understand why they're saying it like this. Something that could be just a genuine conversation. So you got to think of it from that point of view, is there's something else going on. There has to be.
Right.
And the other side of it, and this is where in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, where it gets dangerous, because it can be one or two things. It could be this person, this loved one, does care and they trust you enough to blow up on you because they know the repercussions will be minimal, or they're not really your friend.
Right.
They're finally showing their true colors, and you've got to figure out where does that lie. And it's really tough, because in my thought process is the symptoms are exactly the same. I mean, it's like saying you have the flu and influenza A. It's basically the same thing, but with little differences. One's worse than the other. So you have to take a step back before you react. Think.
Yeah.
Take a step back, do your research. And I told people before, especially in the paranormal field, we're investigators. We are trained to investigate.
Right.
And it's not just the paranormal, it's life in general. Let's take a second to take a step back and investigate what is going on.
Right.
Why is this happening? And start doing your research, do your due diligence, and then you react. And who knows, maybe they just need 24 to 48 hours just to cool off. Maybe they just need to calm down.
And take time and especially if it's somebody close to you and they're upset.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's taking time to say, okay, let's talk about what's happening here. What's happening? Like we all know it with our partners and people we're close to. Sometimes we'll get upset and act out, and it's also okay to have to set up your own support group and to say to your partner, to your wife, to your child, to whoever. I saw a comedian the other night that a few times during his show, he's like, I've trained my kids. They can say, hey, Dad, why are you yelling? What's wrong? And he's like, I'm never yelling it at them. I'm yelling at the remote. I can't get to come on when I just watch this new TV. Or I'm yelling at the toaster that I got to download an app to use. And, so his daughter will be like, Dad, are you okay? Why are you yelling? And so he's trained him to go, you can do that. Then Daddy's going to say, it's not about you, honey. It's not about you, buddy. I am frustrated, and you're right. Dad could deal with this differently. You know what I mean? And I've trained, not trained, I shouldn't say it that way, but I've shared with my partner. My partner has some when we first started dating, he shared, I have some mental issues. Here's what I deal with. If you notice this, or this, here's the way to bring it up to me. And I said, well, good. I'm not diagnosed, but I'm a human being, and I can have times when I get here. So if you sense me getting there, feel free to say, and he does, he'll say, Charles, do you need to relax, let go, and be? And I'll tell you.
I love it.
I'll tell you, there's been times in the moment I want to say, really? But because of that, and because of sharing it, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm being silly, huh? Yes, you're being silly. Or we will share with each other. If we're really angry at somebody or a situation and we have all these feelings, we'll say, we had a roommate that was really one of the worst roommates you could have, but a really great guy. And at one point we were both just venting. And I'm like, good, let's get all of this out so that then when we sit down and talk with him, we can talk in a compassionate way. Because if we just go and say all these things, sure, we'll hurt his feelings. He'll feel bad. He'll know you were bad and you made me feel bad. That doesn't solve anything. If we sit down and have a conversation and share with each other and say, you know what, this is how I felt when you said this. I've had partners and friends, and I've had friends, clients I've worked with, that someone will say something, they won't even realize. Every time you say this, you sound like this. I had a partner a few years ago that shared, I just said something, I forget what it was, something I normally say in different ways. And they're like, never say that again. I heard that from my dad over and over and over again, and it made me want to strangle him. So even though I know you're saying it in a different context, I'm hearing it in this one. So can we not say that? I'm like, absolutely. And if I start to, stop me.
Which I'm glad you said that, because here's the other thing too, is I want everyone to understand there is no one set way to handle other people. It's situation dependent, just like with any situation, with any instance. Like, for example, you talked about your partner, the Wicked Queen, my wife. We've been together 5 years, and God willing, knock on wood, we haven't had a fight yet. We've had little arguments, but we've never fought, and not even about money. And the reason is because she told me, okay, this is how I am. I accept it. I work with her on it, and I've told her the same. This is how I am. If you see me do this, this is how I feel. If you see me do that, this is what's going on. And we look for that, the little red flags, and she knows how to act whenever I get that way. If I get, quiet, I'm not quiet. And if anybody knows me, I'm not quiet.
Yeah.
If I get quiet, the best thing to do, let me alone. That's her showing me support by leaving me alone, because she knows when I'm that point of being quiet, I don't want to be bothered. You're just instigating. And I love and I care about her and others enough to where if I get provoked, they will get the backlash. And that is not a pretty person.
Right.
So she understands that, and we work together. Now, when she's upset, she told me how to help her, but I don't listen. Why? Number one, I'm a guy and I don't listen.
Right.
And two, I'm me. And I told her, I said, okay, well, just leaving you alone is not in my nature. That's not what I do.
Right.
So what I do is I use my stupidity and I make her laugh. I get her, and what I'm doing is not just cheering her up, but I'm taking her mental state and giving a little shock.
Switching
And
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we sit there and I say, okay, so now what's wrong? And that's when I go back to a calm, collective voice. And it's not like, who pissed you off now? It's, no, seriously, what's wrong?
Right.
I really do care. And that works for her. Will that work on my ex-wife? No.
Right.
Elephant training.
Everyone's different. Yeah.
Yeah, elephant tranquilizer, that would work on her.
right?
Actually, I should try that. But anyway, but no, it's situation dependent. Like I see Mark's here. Mark Lee and I are brothers. I saw Don Victor Santiago, he's here. I see a bunch of people who I consider family. If they come to me upset, I'm going to handle each situation different because it's a different situation. If somebody tells me I'm screwing up, I'm not doing something right, that I'm a piece of shit, I'm worthless, I'm this and that. Okay, well, what came to that conclusion? Well, I'm just mad. Okay, about what? And then all of a sudden you're kind of, in my mind, you're putting up a defense, but at the same time you're pushing back. You call them out on that. You call them out and make them take a step back and think, because it'll diffuse it really quick. But you have to know how to handle it and when to handle it. You have to play your cards right.
Yes, when's important, because sometimes it can be if someone just unloads,
Mm-hmm.
then it can be okay. And one of the first things I'll say is this a good time to talk, or do we need to take a break?
Mm.
Because only we can only talk if we, and especially if it gets into, and I think we talked about it on our shows before, if it gets into you are wrong, this is wrong, that everybody else, look, you. Okay, it's not that. And when they get done with all that, then you can say, okay, where's this really coming from? And if I have said something or done something, or you perceive something, like I've said in the show and to clients many times, 99% of the time, when you can have a compassionate listening, going back and forth and hearing each other and understanding, and if you love and care about someone and they say, wow, Charles, when you said that or did that, I felt this, I'm going to be like, whoa, really? I'm sorry. I did not intend that. And I always use it as an example because I've heard it so much. It's funny because one friend of mine said, you always talk about the sock, because I've heard it. I've heard it from mostly women, I'll say, but not entirely, that, when so-and-so leaves their socks on the floor, or they come home and they just, all their stuff's right there. I feel like they're saying, here, you deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. No, they're thinking, I don't care about it right now. I'll come back later and get, like it's, so often we find out we've done things and we're like, no, I wasn't trying to say anything to you. I was just taking my socks off. Like I didn't, I will, I'll gather them and later, one woman talked to me and she was like, I'm going to kill my husband because they just start piling. And I'm like, have you mentioned it? No. Well, mention it, but don't mention it in a
don't say that
way. Say, you know what? Why do your socks pile up in the corner here? Can we?
You do know they don't move.
Yeah. Like, and that's a silly example, but there often comes down to silly things. Often some offhand comment or something. I've tried to say good things to people and had them say, okay, that was upsetting. I'm like, okay, back up. What was upsetting about that? And what's going on that me telling you this caused that? And when you really get down to those discussions, most of the time, people didn't mean to hurt feelings. And they're more than willing to change their behavior if that's what it's going to take. But you also have, and the hard part for me, being who I am, is when someone does, okay, I need a break. Okay, I'm gonna take a drive and then we're gonna talk. Until I got my own training, my part would be like, no, you can't do. We got to talk it out right now. No, you can't go. If you go, I remember telling someone one time, if you walk out that door, I am done. And they're like, really? You are done? I'm asking you for a break. And I'm like, oh gosh, you're right. Yes, take a break. You know what I mean? But so it's owning yourself at times and going, oh, you're right. Oh my, let's take time. Obviously, and I won't point out things, but even in things we went through the family, there was a moment where a couple people were texting, and boy, this is a big one. Texting back and forth, misunderstanding each other. Then I'm talking to one, getting calls from the other, and they're both upset and they're getting more and more angry. And I said, two things: take a break and stop texting. Get on the phone with each other. Talk this through. If you keep texting, you're both going to get madder and madder, because text can be taken any different way. Talking to someone is very different than texting.
Which leads me to my final point, because I know, brother, you have a show.
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, I think the most important thing, besides what we've discussed, but I think a good footnote is, or ending note, if you will, is don't take things out of context. A message like, we'll just pick on Gabe here, pick on Gabriel. We could take that many different ways, negative, positive, whatever. You can't tell intent through a text.
Right.
You can't. If you question, or if you think somebody is attacking you, going after you, trying to hurt you through a text, call them. Get in contact.
Yeah.
But be calm about it. If it's upsetting you at that moment, like,
Take some
let's say,
time.
Mark. Oh, how do you say it? I think Mark's saying this sarcastically. I'm going to wait till I calm down, and then I'm going to go after, then I'm going to talk to Mark.
Right.
You want to, because here's the other thing. Is something like that just a comment, an idea, a plan, a statement? Is that really worth a friendship, a relationship? It's
No.
not.
No. And often, like you just said, it can be reread so many different ways.
Yep.
Because even hello everyone, it can be hello everyone, hello everyone, hello everyone. Rah! You know,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, you don't know until you talk to them. I've had people say an okay, like I've said, how you doing?
Oh, I
Okay?
hate that.
And I'm like, then I'll always follow up. Are you okay? Did I do something? Sometimes they're
that.
just okay.
Yeah.
They're like, no, Charles, I'm okay. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay. I want to make sure you were okay because you said okay, but I thought, were you being, facetious okay? You're pissed off okay? Or you're okay? And
Communication with yourself and everybody else, guys. That is the basic idea of tonight. That sums up everything. Have communication with yourself. Take a third party perspective when you're looking at any issue you may have. Everything is going to be fine. I know it sounds cliche, but with Charles right here, it will be. It will. You will get past that hurdle.
Yes.
You will make it over. It's how you do it. Remember, it doesn't matter how you get from A to C. B is irrelevant. You will get to C.
Yeah.
And you have people around you who do care and who are very supportive. There's always somebody. It's never the end. It's never that. And when you're dealing with your friends, your family, whoever, if you have an issue with them, or if you are feeling frustrated with something that they said or are doing, reach out. They may not even know they are hurting you.
Often they don't.
But this is why I love these monthly chats with you, Charles. And I apologize it's been so long. But
well, we both had things happen, and yeah.
that's mild.
And you said the core thing. Self-talk too is so important. I can't tell you how many times when I'm angry or upset, I will take that third-party perspective and listen to myself as though I'm listening to a client. And then as I start going on to it, I'll be like, oh, really, Charles? Oh, really? Is it really that? Oh, my gosh. Come on, buddy. You're really going to go there? And, so, and also take self-care. If you know something's wrong, just as much as if you think you're having a heart attack, get to the emergency room now so they can get you help. If you feel like mentally you're breaking down, reach out for help because it can become worse. It can become serious, just like the heart, just like your kidneys, just like, your broken leg. You're not going to, I know a few people have done that too, actually. I knew one guy who had a broken arm for a week. He finally went in and got it handled. Don't wait for a week to get yourself healing, to get yourself help. And like you said, you've got the number on the bottom. You've got friends and family to reach out to. There's a lot of people that are, sometimes their reach out is programs like this, so if you're listening to this and you're going, oh my gosh, Matt, oh my gosh, Charles, I'm feeling that way. Please, for all of us, do the best thing for yourself and all of us. We don't know what brilliant and beautiful things you're going to bring to life. We do know we want to see them.
Yep.
We want to experience them. Stay here with us. Get yourself the help you need.
And I don't care whether you're in the paranormal field or not. And the proof of that is like guys like Victor Santiago. I know, Charles, you dabble in the paranormal a little bit.
Oh yes, definitely.
But Victor has nothing. He's not an investigator. Him and IG, they're not investigators. There are people out there who care. Anybody up here, you see, you got Paralinks, the P3 program, and Parapost. These 3 programs right here have some amazing people, some of the best people that I have ever dealt with in my life. Reach out. There is always somebody up and ready to talk.
Yes.
And just taking that first step. And it doesn't have to be, you talk about your feelings and open up right away, because we're all not licensed, but just, hey, are you available to chat?
Yeah.
Talk about the weather, talk about sports, talk about whatever you want to talk about, but just reach out, because I want to investigate with you. I don't want to investigate you.
Right.
Just think of it that way, folks. But anyway, that is the link below. So please, guys, utilize it. Take a screenshot. And one of the most important things for tonight is please share this out. If we can help just at least one person overcome their demons, we've won. So keep going, keep it going, because you never know who needs it.
Froze up, Matt.
Did I? Did I freeze, guys? I don't know. Did I freeze on your end or my end? Back to my YouTube. Let's see. Am I
there?
There?
You are. You're there.
Okay.
You froze
Okay.
for a minute.
Woo! I got scared. But anyway, folks. So okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm watching on the YouTube side too. I finally got my 4 screens going. So, but anyway, brother, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yes.
It's always an honor, a privilege. Much love to you and your family.
Love to you and everyone out there. Yes.
And definitely, brother, we'll be doing these more often, because number 1, it's important. And number 2, it's always a fun time hanging out with you.
Thank you. And I love it too. And there's so much more we can share. So
100%. So guys, go over and go check out Charles Relax, Let Go, and Be. I finally got it with Charles. Yes.
That's it.
The links are in the description. Go check it out. Share him some love. Show him some love. And when you're over there, let him know the consultant sent you. You know he's right here. He'll see it. But definitely share what he's doing out, because what he's doing is very important. And I respect the hell out of this man. So Charles, much love.
Thank you.
Respect to you and your family.
Everybody out
talk
there.
Soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
Have a good night, brother.
You too.
And that was Charles. I love him. He's awesome. So I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's show. We didn't have a huge audience tonight, but you know what? That's fine. That's fine. And I really appreciate that, Gabe. I really do. And then I'm glad you do, Vicky. And it is very, honestly, it's very important. And Squeaks, you're absolutely right. Don't be afraid to reach out. There are so many people here that really care, whether we know you or not, whether we've met or not. We do care. We all care. And we can introduce you to a network of people who do just that. We don't care how much money you have. We don't care how many subscribers you have. We don't care what your background is. We care. And like Charles and I were saying, take time and reevaluate what you're doing and these problems you are having, and really ask yourself, number 1, is it really that important to get that upset? And number 2, is it something you can take care of right now? And if it's a no, don't stress about it. Reach out. There are alternatives. There are people that are able to help you and can throw ideas your way. And the other thing is when you're dealing with other people, guys, think about their situation as well. Maybe what they're saying is for a reason. Maybe there's some underlying context that you don't know about. Maybe there's an idea. Maybe there's a plan. Maybe there's something else that is just driving them to say or do what they're doing. Don't let it take you personally. Don't ruin your beautiful and your special personality. Don't let it ruin that. Be you. Be you. Anyway, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I'll catch you guys Monday on the Paraprod podcast. I had to think. The Paraprod podcast. I'm having a gentleman by the name of Sean Kelly from Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. I met him when Fedora and a bunch of us did the library in Pittsburgh. He'll be on. He is a wealth of knowledge. He is an amazing individual. And then I know the Wicked Queen and our wonderful squeakers have Brian John Laverty on the Creepy Cryptids at 7 p.m. That's going to be a show. So they have him coming on. And then I know Wednesday on the Paracrew podcast, we have the one and only, and maybe that's for a good reason. Joking, love you, brother. The one and only Ken Allen coming on. So I'm excited, guys. We have a hell of a lineup, and I'm stoked. I'm absolutely stoked. So thank you all so much for watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, guys, please share this out, not for my sake, not for Charles' sake, but for everybody's sake, because you never know who may need this. You may need to hear that they do make a difference, because each and every one of you do. You do make a difference. We do care about you. We love you. So, with that being said, there's only one thing left for me to say. Y'all have yourselves a great rest of your night. Have fun. Stay safe. And as always, guys, happy hauntings. God, I miss that.